Welcome, aspirants. In today's Explainer, we're going to tackle a really crucial topic for your exams, how India is planning to use a pretty surprising resource to guarantee our food security.
So let's kick things off with a question. What's the link between a piece of coal and a field of thriving crops? I mean, they seem like total opposites, right? Well, the answer is a massive game changer for India's economy and its entire agricultural system.
All right, here's our roadmap for today. We'll start with the absolute basics, the building blocks of food. Then we'll get into India's big fertilizer problem. From there, we'll see how coal comes in as a surprising solution, look at the cool technology making it happen, and tie it all into the vision of an Atmanirbharta Krishi. And, of course, we'll wrap up with all the key takeaways you'll need for your exams.
First things first, let's cover the fundamentals. You know, what actually makes plants grow. This stuff is essential for any science and technology paper.
Okay, so let's start with what I call the big three for plants. It's NPK. You've probably seen it on bags of fertilizer. Think of it like this. Nitrogen, or N, is for leafy growth. It makes everything green and lush. Phosphorus, P, is for the roots and flowers, the foundation. And potassium, K, is like the plant's immune system. It helps with water and keeps it strong against diseases. Simple, right? NPK.
Now let's zoom in on nitrogen fertilizers like urea. These are super important for us, and to make them, you need a very specific recipe. And these ingredients you see here, these are often the focus of exam questions, so pay close attention.
Trying to remember that list during an exam can be tricky. So here's a little trick for you, a mnemonic, NABC. Just remember that acronym. N for natural gas, A for air, W for water, S for sulfur, and C for carbon dioxide. NABC. Trust me, a simple trick like that can be a real lifesaver.
And what about the other two, phosphorus and potassium? Well, for those, we rely heavily on things we have to dig out of the ground. We need rock phosphate for our P and something called potash for our K. And this reliance on mined minerals, well, that's where our big problem starts.
So now that we know the ingredients, let's look at how this all cooks up into a major national challenge for India. This is where science meets economics and national security.
Just look at this chart. This right here shows our critical weakness. 100%. We import 100% of our muriate of potash. Why? Because we just don't have any of our own. And on top of that, we import more than half of our main phosphate fertilizer. This leaves our farmers and our food supply totally exposed to what's happening in the global market. And that dependency, it comes with a massive price tag. Get this, 1.88 lakh crore rupees. That's our subsidy bill. That's a huge drain on our budget, and it means we're sending all that money overseas, making us vulnerable to price hikes and any kind of political instability. It is a major, major risk. So we're kind of caught between a rock and a hard place. First, we just don't make enough fertilizer. We're short by almost 15 million tons every year. And second, we're not very good at using what we do have. Our efficiency is only about 35–40%, which means most of it just washes away or goes up into the air. It's just not a sustainable system.
So how in the world do we fix this? Well, the answer is buried right under our feet, in something we have tons of, literally.
The answer is coal. India is sitting on over 378 billion tons of it. The government's big new idea is to completely rethink what coal is. It's not just something you burn for power anymore. We can actually use it as a chemical ingredient, a strategic feedstock, to make the very fertilizers we've been forced to import.
So how do you turn a solid lump of coal into fertilizer? It sounds a bit like magic, doesn't it? But it's all just really clever chemistry. Let's break down exactly how it works.
All right, here's the keyword for this whole strategy. You absolutely have to know this. Coal gasification. All it is a process that turns solid coal into a useful gas. This gas is called synthesis gas, or syngas for short. And that syngas is the key building block for making fertilizer.
The whole thing happens in three pretty simple steps. Step 1, gasification. You turn the coal into syngas. Step 2, upgrading. You take that syngas and turn it into ammonia. And finally, step 3, synthesis. You combine that ammonia with CO2 and boom, you have urea fertilizer. It's a direct chemical line from our coal mines to our farm fields.
So you might be thinking, if this is so great, why haven't we been doing it for years? Well, the breakthrough is a special technology called trig, another keyword you have to remember. See, the problem with Indian coal is that it has a lot of ash in it. Old technologies would just get clogged up. But TRIG is designed specifically for our high ash coal. It's the tech that finally makes this whole plan possible on a massive scale.
Okay, let's zoom out and look at the big picture. What does this all mean for India's national goals? Because this is about way more than just fertilizer.
The government is putting serious money behind this. We're talking a 4 trillion rupee investment. The goal is to gasify 100 million tons of coal every year. This isn't just a project. It's a core piece of the entire Atmanirbharta mission, a self-reliant India.
And this isn't just about building factories and hoping for the best. It's a really smart plan, built on 3 pillars. First, dealing with the environment through things like carbon capture. Second, working with international partners, like the US, to get the best tech and investment. And third, rolling it out in stages, starting small with pilots and then scaling up. It's a calculated, well-thought-out approach.
Okay, we've covered a ton of ground, so let's boil it all down into one simple slide. This is your high-yield summary. Seriously, get ready to take a screenshot. All right, let's slowly recap the absolute must-know facts. 1. The problem. High import dependency, remember, 100% for potash, and that massive 1.88 lakh crore subsidy. 2. The solution. That's coal gasification, turning coal into syngas and then into urea. 3. The technology. The key word is TRIG, designed for our high-ash coal. 4. The goal. To gasify 100 million tons a year, backed by a 4 trillion rupee investment. And 5. Don't forget our handy mnemonic, NAWSC. These are the core facts you need to walk away with.
You know, this quote from the source article just perfectly sums up the entire strategic shift we've been talking about. It's about changing our whole perspective on coal to solve one of our oldest and biggest problems.
And that leaves us with a final, powerful question. Can we really use technology to turn a national liability, our huge coal reserves, into a pillar of our food security? This strategy says yes, and if it works, it'll be a massive step on our journey to true self-reliance.